Miami, the magic city, the city of never-ending sunshine, endless beaches, and a cultural salad bowl that unites Latin America with the United States. Miami, a place of opportunity for all, the Mecca for entrepreneurs and all those seeking the American dream. A place where nothing is impossible, where the average person can be whoever they want, even if it's just for a night. But, in reality of it all, it is still to this day the city of the divided. Overtown, Liberty City, West Grove, all places that belong to the ever-magical Miami, but never managed to move on from times where segregation and pure hate dictated daily lives. Homelessness, poverty, inhumane living conditions, conditions that many of our inhabitants face every single day. So the question arises, how is it possible to be a home for the glamorous and wealthy, but a cave for the poor and needy at the same time? A question that we will attempt to answer right here, right now.
Did a few years of AmeriCorps, did some youth outreach programs with a few local organizations in Liberty City and Opelika. Did some job prevention programming in Liberty City, worked with 5,000 role models at Miami-Dade County School Board. Definitely happening. And so it's funny, and it's not exclusive to just South Florida, right? This is happening across the country where folks are beginning to realize the value in actually living closer to major work hubs, right? So downtown, for example, the Brickell area. Right. And so where at a period of time where most folks wanted to, live out west and suburbia, now it's attractive to live closer to the city. And so when you think about that, you think about, what neighborhoods currently exist in those areas? Right. That's, predominantly low-income communities. That is your Overtowns, your Liberty Cities, your Alapatas. I believe to a degree you have to break up concentrated levels of poverty, right? Because there are certain social ills that come with high levels of poverty just boxed into one set area. Definitely. But there has to be a trick in figuring out how to, bring in a new income class without displacing other folks. But to the Liberty Square project that's coming in, which is, a huge redevelopment project, one of the first housing projects in the country, and definitely the largest redevelopment project we've seen for sure in the Southeast United States. Okay. And so part of the issue in South Florida is what our economy is based on more than anything else, and that being tourism. Mm-hmm. And so with that, you're talking about a ton of they're not the most high-paying jobs. And if you continue to, as we're growing and becoming this world-class destination, if we're continuing to try to cater to the tourism industry as opposed to the development of our locals, that economic divide just grows and grows and grows. Think about the influx of foreign investors paying top dollar cash to pay for units. Then when simple laws of supply and demand come into play, obviously the prices are going to remain sky high and they range for the average person, which means folks are doling out 35, 40, 50% of their income on housing. Yeah. And therefore you, again, create an indicator, access to adequate transportation was always a major indicator in determining whether or not someone moves from one tax bracket to and our advocacy groups, those that are fighting for these issues on the outside, to continue to educate the public and to continue to apply the pressure on members. And then for those that are making a killing in South Florida, developers, industries that come down, I think we also have to hold folks accountable to say if you want to be a part of this community, you have an obligation to see to the well-being of it as well. Okay. And so, maybe there's room for more P3 partnerships to address some of these issues, or set aside a number of units below market rate for the purpose of providing affordable units to the working class population. And in exchange for that, we allow you to build bigger or get some kind of...
And then before I got my PhD, I worked 11 years in banking, of which half of that was real estate. But I think today what's driving it is two factors. Miami is an entree point for not just the wealthy, but for many people from Latin America, from Europe, from other places. So people come here for an opportunity. Many of those who come here for an opportunity probably don't have the language and educational background that they need to get a better paying job. And by having that turnover, we create an opportunity for low wages. So what happens is they ultimately end up where they're crammed in smaller spaces and the quality of the housing is substandard given the price that they're paying. I think where you see the real risk in the Grove is for those properties that are rented to people but owned by other people as an investment. Sometimes you have long-term tenancy where people have been renters but they've lived there a long time but they don't own their property. And in the U.S., unlike other countries, they basically have no rights, or it's all local, but typically, and especially in Florida, they have no rights to go beyond their lease terms.
Is it possible to create affordable housing in Coconut Grove?
No. I mean, simply the land values are too high, along with the density. So the question is, are we better off spending money trying to protect affordable housing in the Grove, or do we look in other areas of Miami-Dade where you don't have that juxtaposition? One of the difficulties in Miami is if I look at Little Havana, if I look at Opelika, if I look at Hialeah, if I look at this, there is such demand for residential units that no matter how poorly maintained a housing unit is in Miami-Dade, it's been able to be rented. There is such excess demand for affordable housing that almost anything that's habitable can find a rent stream. Some standardized modules, which is have buildings that are pre-approved, so that if you have a lot size of X, you can get it zoned for 18 units or 14, some number of units, and you have a pre-approval of that building's design, its functionality, and its place. It's a business. So when you see affordable housing people do it, don't forget these are developers in large part, and they do it to make money. And so they're out there to generate a profit and fees for themselves, and they do because there's an economic return. And since we use a lot of large-scale financing techniques, our system is once again biased towards these mega projects, these large projects. Long-term is building 400 and 500 unit complexes is not the best way to go, because you create islands of lower income people. And what you should be doing is having some dispersion, not just of income, but of any type of amenity.
I'm Pinto Torres, and I work for Douglas Elliman New Development in this great project called One River Point. This particular project is being developed in the Miami River, right across Brickell City Center, which it has become one of the most sought spots, for commercial, for residential, right now in Miami. This is really for high-end users.
So
the demographics could be anybody between 30 and 30 plus. The least expensive for the least expensive unit, which it would be a one bed, 1.5 bath, it's $870,000. Miami is not anymore a city of millionaires. It has become a city of billionaires. Yeah. It has become the #1 city in the country for investment. It has become the #6 city in the world for investment. And the main reason is because the dollar is being very strong right now, and because the area is absolutely amazing. That again, the question of, is gentrifying an opportunity, or is it really damaging the societies? Great amounts of Argentinians, Russians. I mean, you see people from all over the world with education and with the desire to make Miami a better place. You know what? Developers come. They are buying Alapata, which used to be a very suppressed area. They're buying West River. They're buying in areas that has suffered a lot. They go. Maybe what the authorities can do, they can maybe levy a tax or some type of grant that these developers can give, or a special fund where they can find new areas, within the borders of Miami-Dade and build affordable houses. If you see, Miami has become the #1 commercial hub for Latin America. It's the second financial hub for the United States and Latin America. Do I think personally as a businesswoman that we're going in the right direction for my industry? Yes. Yes, maybe can we do better programs, outreach to the community, try to teach them, try to, give them better ideas on education and health? Yes. Is that gonna help? Most likely. But it's gonna be something that all of us, we have to do.
As you said, I work for Interchange, and we're a Christian nonprofit, and we do community advocacy, to Bible studies, to tutoring, to mentoring. And one of the issues that has arisen over the last couple years in our neighborhood, where I work in the West Coconut Grove, is the issue of affordable housing. The culture of Miami, which is about like pursuing more or presenting a certain kind of like persona
Like
about
a
your
lifestyle.
wealth. Yeah, and so whether you have that money or not, people will rent cars to make it look like they own or drive a really fancy car. Like there's this pursuit of wealth, and as a result, you lose touch of the community aspect. It's like, I think, pretty hopeless about the situation. Because they've seen it time and time again that their community's on the bottom of the totem pole. For example, there was a free trolley system that they wanted to set up from the Coral Gables going to East Grove, and they were going to not have any, it was free and the city was providing it, and they weren't going to have any stops within the West Grove. We have been doing a series of different protests and different things, and trying to understand and like what are the issues with housing in this area specifically, and how can we raise awareness about them. So currently we are meeting with the City Commission, one of the city commissioners for our district, District 2, Ken Russell, and talk about like long-term legislative changes that we can be making, inclusionary zoning. And then I think right now there are people who are getting displaced and evicted when, because of certain tenant laws, and there's just not a lot of tenant rights within the state of Florida as a whole. So in my opinion, gentrification is a neutral term, something that, but most often, we see that the people who are benefiting from it are people who have money. And I don't know, like this, I envision this community where it's like mixed income, and different community services, both governmental and non-governmental, benefit the entire community. And like, could we get people to the place where they are looking out for their neighbor?
The economic divide in Miami is as drastic as our beaches are beautiful. And while Miami still claims its title as sexiest city in the United States, Miami citizens continue to pay the price. Rising prices and stagnant wages have worsened the conditions for our citizens. And as MACA International, we know the time for change is now. From the skylines of Brickell to the suburbia of the Grove to the streets of Liberty City, what every Miamian wants is for the city they love to prosper and become a better home for them and their neighbors. At the core of our proposed solutions are the fundamental pillars of understanding and collaboration. Government must play its part by moving forward with inclusionary housing initiatives that give lower-income residents the ability to pay below market price, while developers and realtors get tax credits for promoting these projects. Initiatives such as the Liberty Square project, partnered with the reinforcement of our robust public transportation system, will allow residents to get to work and live nearby. We also understand that at the center of the economic divide is a lack of education and social development. Scholarships for local, low-income students will allow our communities to prosper from within. To achieve all this, we have to realize our duty to contribute. This is why we affirm that if international investors or temporary residents want to be part of our energetic, buzzing, and vibrant community, they must fulfill that duty as well. We must ask from government and the private sector just as much as we should ask from ourselves and our neighbors. Contribute, connect, collaborate, and create. Inclusionary zoning, specialized development tax credits, scholarship programs, sophisticated education systems, lobbying, and grassroots advocacy are but a few of the steps towards a Miami that will not only be the gateway for the Americas, but the gateway for the world.